So I'm with Rich Beem, and Rich Beem you'll know very well, multiple winner on tour, and won the PGA Championship in 2002. Rich, Shaun Micheel and Wai Yang are the three main reasons why Tiger never achieved Jack Nicklaus's record. They've got a
Bravo! That was awesome.
They've got a lot to answer for.
Oh, now wait a second. Tiger wasn't chasing down Shaun Micheel. He was only chasing down YE myself, so he would still been one shy.
That is true. That is true. Anyway, we're talking divots, and I was just saying I find it very hard to take a divot. My divots are very, very shallow. I'm pleased to say that it's the only thing about me that's shallow, and I do tend to get the divot beyond the ball, which is important.
Yeah.
But yeah, just share your views with us, Rich. On
well, so I'm kind of a big believer too. I don't normally take big divots. In fact, you know, when I was a little bit more flexible and limber, I really wouldn't take hardly anything. And it's not something I ever thought about, but I finally understand why I did it more than anything else now by watching DJ, because DJ and I we swing it like that. No, we don't. Anyways, but what he does is that everybody talks about the position that he's at the back of the swing, how his left hand is bowed right here. I used to be able to do that a lot more, like I said, when I was a little bit more limber. Probably not to the extent that he did, but that's kind of where I was at. But what happens is when you get into that position, I'm not saying you need to try it, but what happens when you get to this position here, you know, when my dad said, get your elbows as close together as possible to swing, so that's always going to create that there. So, but when you come down, your upper body has to rotate this way, and so what happens is that instead of the upper body stopping here and dropping the hands through, DJ takes him here, and all he's doing is rotating his chest from up here all the way through. And if you notice, he's usually, his head is moving kind of like David Duval, Annika Sorenstam used to do. He's moving through that just a little bit more than more tour players, but I don't think he's moving as much as Duval and Annika used to. But what he is all he's doing is putting it in a good position here, guys, and he's turning that chest and turning and burning. And if you ever get a chance to watch him on the range, the divots, when he hits it, it sounds hollow. It sounds like he's catching it very, very low on the club face, which he is. But the divots, they're almost non-existent. You just don't see him sitting out there and taking these huge ripping divots like Brooks Koepka does. You know, like you know, Rory gets a little bit steep too at times. But it's just more about the fact that when he gets it up here, this is strong. So in order to hit it, he's just turning this chest. This thing never moves. You wonder why he hits little cuts and hits it straight, you know, and because this is just a timing move. Yeah. This is just moving all the way through it. Now, sometimes I think when he tries to hit it hard, and especially with the driver, he gets to here and he kind of pulls this way instead of just turning this way. It's pretty remarkable. There's no, I mean, I think that's why he's the best player in the world, because the consistency factor to do that. You can time this. It's harder to time this. If you're sitting there trying to time this versus timing this, give me the second one every day. It's just that much easier.
And the sequencing, I see more and more players really working hard on sequencing. You know, I mean, I know, yeah, you say, well, of course, it's absolutely essential, you know, you've got to do that. But there's not the flair players that there were, the handsy players that there were, because it's just not, it doesn't produce the consistency you can get.
No, and they don't need to be anymore either. I think, you know, we were chatting earlier about, you know, the days gone by where you had, you know, persimmon and Balata golf balls, where you had to be handsy in order to kind of control the height of the golf ball here and there. Now they just control it by how fast they swing their upper body. And so with a lot of the modern equipment too, I mean, I kept asking earlier, nobody has offset anymore. Everybody's got onset, it seems like, the tour players anyways, because they're trying to turn so fast, they can't have something that's lagging behind. They want that face out in front so they can turn as fast as they can to hit this thing, right? So offset is kind of a thing gone by the wayside, except for a guy like me who I want to make sure that, hey, I got a little bit extra time back here. I can, you know, if I'm out of sequence, I can manipulate this thing a little bit, but that's just kind of the feel that I've had. These guys, they want the onset, and they don't really care because they also don't want to see it going left, right? I mean, that's a huge reason why they don't want any offset, because they think offset means going left, which is actually not the case whatsoever.
Right.
But the modern player, these guys out there, each and every week, they just, when you talk about sequencing, you know, we can just say timing, but listen, you got to put it in a good position back here. If it's not in a good position at the top of your swing, well, how can it be in a good position at the bottom of their swing?
Yeah.
So they're just kind of figuring out how to get it back in here. You want to talk about the best guy, one of the best guys in the world, Sungjae Im. Now, you can laugh, but you look at his stats and look exactly how he does it. My dad used to say, what do you hit with your takeaway? What do you hit in the backswing? Nothing. Why do you have to have it so fast then? Sungjae, I mean, it is so...
It is incredible. Yeah.
You try and do it at home.
Yeah.
It is incredibly hard.
Yeah.
I could sit here and I'm going to really think about trying to do as slow as he does, and it's going to be awkward. I mean, I hit that one fairly crisp, but that was so difficult, and he does it every time. He puts it in great positions, and it's just, this kid's going to be a world beater.
If I was swinging that slow, I'd be thinking, what I'll be doing. Yeah, what am I going to do this evening?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And you go to the vice versa. You look over at Bryson, and it's, you know, as fast because he wants speed throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
So different thoughts, different ways of doing it. I'd be leaning towards the Sungjae Im 8 days a week over Bryson, but that's just me. I'm not built like a Bryson is, and he can swing it and it's powerful and can hold on to it. I'm still kind of manipulating the club, you know, throughout the golf swing. So, you know, I think that these guys out there, they have their own way of doing it, and they firmly believe that the way they're doing it is the best. They're always fighting it in some form or fashion, but they've got a pretty good idea of what they're trying to do each and every day.
But watching them there this week, I did not see many heavy divots at all. You know, the striking was pure, the angle of attack fantastic. Sure, they're taking divots, but they're shallow and they're beyond the ball. And you know, it's I mean, the only time I saw big divots coming out really was in the rough, which was penal in some areas here this week, which is why I think Bryson's got to be right in the box seat, hasn't he?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So here, look, if you look at a shallow divot versus a big divot, right? What causes a big divot? A big divot means that you're going to, and this is for most people, not everybody, but a big divot means that you hit down on it this way. You're having a pretty good angle of attack on the downswing, and you really compress it. Okay. You gotta be strong. You gotta have big hands. You gotta have big forearms, because that's a serious jarring motion. There's not a lot of guys out there that choose to do that, because you lose control of the golf ball every once in a while. Right? It just, you can't repeat that every single time. Granted, Brooks takes some of the biggest divots in the world, but it's interesting how I still don't see him as a steep player. He is a little bit, there's no doubt, but he's just not, it's not like he's really trying to rip down at it. He's trying to rip it through it, not down at it. And so the consistency I find with guys that are trying to get down this way, it's a law of averages. You're going to hit the flyer every once in a while, and that's the last thing these guys want to see. So what they do is that, you know, they're trying to shallow out their swing just a little bit, you know, and trying to have a lot of extension going this way, not down and up. It's not a V, it's more of a U. These guys are trying to emulate, I think, on a daily basis, and that's what you see a lot of out there. That's why they're some of the best in the game. They know when they do need to get steep on it, and they know when to shallow it out, and that just comes part of playing.
So that's some great advice there, and I'd say to people out there, look, you know, learn a lot from your divots, really understand angle of attack. You'll learn from where you look at the direction of the divots as to how your swing path is, and basically go and get checked out, go and get some lessons.
Listen, every single guy on that range, with the exception of maybe 2, they've all got instructors out there. What makes you think you don't need one? That's the one thing that I play. All the amateur guys, when was the last time you took a lesson? Oh, you know, a couple years. I'm like, listen, Phil Mickelson, Tiger Woods, Ernie Els, BJ Singh, these guys all have, you know, they're all taking lessons. Why aren't you? Are you that good? No, we're not. So take lessons. It helps.
There you
I
go.
promise.
Cheers. Really appreciate that, Rich. Thank you.